feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it's
Hey everyone, welcome to the post-show wrap-up of the Shrimp Tank Podcast. I'm your host, Rich Jensen, along with my co-host, David Sims, and our guest today, Dr. Michael Butler of Restoration Health. We just completed a great podcast, so I encourage you to go to arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com to listen to the entire podcast. Each week on the post-show wrap-up, we like to bring some highlights from the podcast itself. We had a great time, had a lot of good laughs. You want to hear the whole thing. But Michael, you were kind of really young for becoming an entrepreneur, right, pretty much right out of school. You had like 9 months with a mentor
Absolutely.
kind of thing that you worked in, and then you went right in it. So I know, David, you had a question that you wanted to ask him kind of about that.
Yeah, we asked you on the show about something, what was probably your best piece of advice for somebody young like you starting their own professional practice. And what you shared was really interesting about the importance of working on yourself. Share with our viewers what you mean by that.
Sure, absolutely. So I feel like one of the most important things that you can do when you're getting ready to start a business is to make sure that you've got yourself 100% where you need to be. One of the best ways to do that, in my opinion, is to be able to start with your morning rituals. We call that, so putting your armor on in the morning. So you wake up and you get in the Bible and you pray and you watch something motivational. You've got your armor on because the devil, he's going to come at you at some point throughout the day. If you've got your armor on, then you're gonna do a lot better job than if he had free reign there.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point. Work on yourself. That's a really good point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we didn't have time to get into it in the podcast, but I know to you, culture is really important, the culture in your office, and you work hard to create a culture. So tell our viewers a little bit about what you've done there and what the culture's like and what sets Restoration Health apart because of that.
Sure, absolutely. So what we always say in our team meetings with our team is that so the adjustment in our office, it starts as soon as you walk through the doors. So you're going to be greeted. You're going to be greeted with a smile. You're going to be.
And you said adjustment. Is that a chiropractic joke?
Right. So the adjustment.
So you got to give your team a checkup from the neck up, huh?
That's right, buddy. So we always say that the adjustment starts as soon as you walk in the door. You'll be greeted with a smile. You'll be greeted by name, and we play a great Christian music. We have Bible verses on the wall. Everybody's smiling. They're having fun. We try to create a culture. We want that part of their day to be one of the best parts of their day when they're coming into our office. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so really a chiropractic adjustment really won't work if you got a bad case of stinking thinking, right?
That's right. So we want to make sure we set them up.
Our producer is shaking his head. He would call that a dad joke.
You gotta rib these millennials somehow every time.
Absolutely.
Another thing that you talked about on the podcast that was really, really good was a lesson you learned is, you talked about not hiring too soon and not hiring too late. Talk about that and share with our viewers what you shared on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like when you're starting off, we were fortunate enough. We started off. It was just my wife and I. We got to a point where we were doing okay, and we could have probably went ahead and hired somebody. But at that point, we waited a little bit longer, and it allowed us to get more financially secure at that point, and we were able to hire appropriately. Now, also, as we're going through the process, we started growing more and more, and I feel like there was a time where we could have hired a little bit faster to be able to help us to be able to handle.
Put a little less stress on Molly, right?
Yeah, we don't want stress on Molly.
It's almost like there's a balance you have to strike between, I need someone, but I don't want to commit yet because I don't want to lay them off 2 months later if things don't pan out. And yet, if you go too long, now you're giving bad service.
Right.
So,
Yeah, you don't ever want the quality to drop.
Yeah.
That is a classic entrepreneurial startup dilemma, and even after you've been in business for a while, the growth dilemma.
Yeah.
How are we going to handle this growth? And we talked about funding growth with debt and whether or not that makes sense. So all sorts of good things happen, and we discussed in the podcast. I encourage you to listen to the whole thing by going to arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com. You can download it on iTunes. Just hit that subscribe button, and you'll get it every week. And in the meantime, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast with us. For folks that don't know anything about Restoration Health, want to get in contact with you or your clinic, how would they get in contact with you? What's the best way?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can look us up on Facebook at Restoration Health. Also, you could be able to you could call us at 501-400-7700 or even email in at info@rhlittlerock.com.
All right. Well, that concludes another great week on the Shrimp Tank. Until next week, be safe, and remember, to become a shark in the business world, we all start out as shrimp.